So, hello, welcome to our Composition and Arrangement Masterclass number 2 here on the Play by Jelly Note Discord server. If you don't know who I am, my name is JC the Beard. I am the brass section leader, and I'm joined today by my co-host Dana, who is the string section leader. Dana, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. What about you?
I cannot complain. I'm really excited to dive into some of these really great arrangements that people in the community have submitted for us to take a look at and provide some positive and constructive feedback on. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in to the first one, which is a composition called "A Forest in the Clouds" by Discord user Fritzo1. I've got it pulled up here in my finale window, so let me go ahead and share my screen. You should be able to, if you are in the audience right now, open up this streaming window as soon as that comes up. So you should be able to see that down there in the lower left corner of the screen, and should be able to hear as soon as I press play. This is not the original file that was submitted because it had some instrument like texture changes. I actually re-inputted it in. Is that even a word? Re-inputted? Sheesh.
It is now.
It's been a long day, but I went in. There's some bowed vibraphone, and this staff switches to glockenspiel about halfway through. So I went in and made sure that Finale would interpret the layers correctly. So hopefully it sounds more or less similar to what the composer arranger intended. I know it was originally playing back vibraphone only, which is not what this is supposed to be.
Hmm.
So we'll go ahead and take a complete listen to it. It's a couple minutes long, and then I'm going to go and do initial thoughts and feedback, and Dana's going to have stuff to say as well, and then we will open up for comments. So without further ado, this is Forest in the Clouds. That's cool. I really like that one. That's why I wanted to play the entire thing. I know it's a little long, but if you, I'm not showing the screen that I'm clicking on the display right now. So if you can't see anything that I'm talking about, please let me know and I'll fix it. But I did want to go and point out a couple things that I really liked about this one. Is first off the use of sequence. So this is just chock full of different themes and things, but it always goes back to a couple of different things that are repeated, and I think it works really, really well. Like even just right here in the beginning, and I'm sorry, this is really small on this monitor. You have this motif right here with the slower vibraphone chord thing, and then you have this first vibe part layers on top of it. That's a good use of adding texture things, and then the repetition here is good. And then you have this like triplet like arpeggiation theme right here that kind of goes through most of the piece. Starting, this is in the way. I'm sorry. I had to put this back in so it would play correctly. But this right here, that's just such a really great idiomatic use of mallet percussion. I absolutely love when percussion writing has stuff like this because it just fits the instrument so well. So that's great. The change specifically, see, I know in the beginning this is bowed vibraphone, but it really, really works well in the back half of the piece when it goes back to bowed vibes after, I think it's like right here. Yeah, measure 91. This texture with the bowed vibraphone in the like open fourth right here is just chef's kiss emoji. I love it. I love it. I love it. This looks weird because it's the Glock is a transposing instrument, and finale is really stupid sometimes, and it makes it go way up there. Hopefully that's the correct pitches. I know Music XML doesn't always play nice with stuff like that, but the combination of the bowed vibraphone, regular just played with mallet vibraphone, and then the Glock is a wonderful, wonderful texture, and I absolutely love it. So this is a fantastic piece. If you wrote this and you're in the chat, say hi. Like, I really like this. Great job. I don't have any criticisms to give you because I'm not a percussionist, but from a composition standpoint, this is fantastic. It's wonderful. It's great writing. I don't know, like, if you being the person that wrote this, if you're not in here watching on YouTube, sorry. But if you have a background in perhaps like Winter Guard, percussion, WGI, or drum corps or anything, it's very, very much reminds me of writing for that style of a group. So again, I don't have any critiques to give. I think this is really great. Dana, do you have any feedback on this?
Yeah, I would like to add on to what you were already saying. I think that this is fantastic. And something in particular that I really admire about this piece is I really love the way that the composer um, handled all of these unusual chords, right? Because this is so much more, the chords are so much more expressive than, say your cookie cutter like 251, right? They've used really fantastically expressive harmonies and textures, dynamics, etc., to give this piece the feel that it does. So I just wanted to say very well done in regards to all of it, but particularly to the chords, because I think that they've done a fantastic job of treating these chromatic harmonies very well and very carefully, because that is an extremely challenging thing to do because there are so many more rules and conventions and blah blah blah, and it's difficult to make those chromatic harmonies sound good and normal to our ears, using both of those terms very loosely, mind you. That's, of course, a can of worms. But yeah, I think that that is fantastic. My something that I was kind of wanting was I didn't get the measure number where this part begins, but I know that it's at measure 80. So the part that begins right before, yes, I think it's that one. Yes, thank you, JC. So it starts at 79, I believe that says. I'll tell you what I personally wanted in this part. And first of all, I think it's, of course, I think it's fantastic. I think that little driving vibraphone rhythm that you have on the, what is the bottom staff to, I'm not sure if it was in your original one or not. That doesn't matter.
It was.
I think Yeah, okay. So I think that that driving motif in the bottom staff is fantastic. That is something that I love to do partway through a piece is to start, employing more driving rhythms like that. I think it's wonderful. But I think that I wanted, and this is just a matter of personal taste. You might not want this for your composition, and that's perfectly fine. It's great without it. But I think what you could do if you wanted to add even more to that is if you add another line that is just something simple, even just like running eighth notes or something like that to really maintain that forward momentum when that bottom vibraphone part is just sustaining a
Mhm.
note. I think that I think that that would just add to it even more and continue the momentum going until oh, I can't quite see the measure number, but until 91, there it
Yeah.
is. Until measure 91 when it kind of, breaks, not really breaks down again, but when it slows down again. That's something that I think that I would add that comes to mind. But again, if you like it as is, and if that really does not feel right, then that's perfectly fine. That's just something that came to mind. But as is, the composition is fantastic. But that's about what I have to say. Again, I really, really, I think that this is just fantastic, and I am endlessly jealous of how you handled all of those chords. That's something that I would like to get better at as well. JC, did you have anything else to add before we open up for any possible comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to really quickly, boy, this will be fun when I go to edit to like layer these
Hmm.
screenshots back on top of this stuff. But
Oh, charming.
I just wanted because Dana, you said something about the different chords and the chromaticism and everything. I just
Mhm.
wanted to point out for people that maybe have not played percussion or not written for percussion. So vibraphones are utilize what's called equal temperament, right? Because you have bars that are tuned to a specific pitch. Whereas if you're playing in a section of brass instruments, for example, if you've ever played a marching band or drum corps or a high level wind ensemble, you've probably been taught about how to adjust different pitches within different chord members. Like if you're playing the third of a chord, you're supposed to lower it. The fifth of the chord, you raise it just a tiny bit. And if you're playing the root, you have to be dead straight on in the middle of that note as far as pitch is concerned. Mallet percussion can't do this. So when you write different intervals for mallet percussion, it has this really, really cool sonority to it because you don't have the fine adjustment of pitch. It's just there. You strike the C sharp bar with a mallet, it's going to make the same pitch every single time unless you physically carve metal out of the bar. So
Hmm.
when you have different, even like just between an octave, it's going to be so pure in tune. You're going to hear overtones. They're going to be ringing for days and days and days, and it doesn't come in through the uh, VST that I use for this. I think it's a Note Performer or whatever, which is a really great VST, but it's not going to do overtones like that. So if you actually perform this live and you have real musicians playing this,
First off, send us a
yeah,
video because we'd love to see it.
yes, please. I would love to see a video of this. But if you listen to percussion ensemble live, or if you ever have the chance to go, if drum corps is near you or WGI or anything, go see a show because the writing for percussion is just sublime. It's so good, and it takes advantage of these different sonorities that you can utilize when you have instruments like this that you can't adjust tuning on the fly. So you have right. If you're still looking at the screen broadcast here, see if I can zoom in. 200 times. Yeah, there we go. 200% zoom. Old man mode.
Nice.
So you see right here, measure measure forward. You have this. You have F. You have B flat. You have C, and then you have F again. So it's a little bit of the dissonance between the B flat and the C, but there's so much openness between here because you have F, and then right above that you have B flat. You have that fourth, and then you have that major second to the C, and then from there you have the fourth again. You stack these, and it creates this wonderful resonance between different pitches that, oh, if you play that on like a three brass instruments, it's going to sound different because you have to tune it differently. But when you have percussion instruments, you can write this, and it's so, oh, I keep using this word, it's so idiomatic of the actual like medium you can perform it. It's wonderful. It doesn't work the same with anything else. So I'll stop gushing about about the percussion writing here, but really, honestly, this is phenomenal writing. And if you ever get the chance to have this performed, please, please, please send me a copy of the recording or post it in the Discord or what have you, because this is just fantastic. I love it.
I
So
think that we're enjoying this extra as well because the two of us generally write for brass and strings respectively. So we don't usually, these days, we typically don't get the chance to compose for percussion ensemble or to look at something like this that is really well written for percussion ensemble. So I think that that's why we're particularly obsessed with that aspect, is because it's so refreshing to what we otherwise do.
yes.
But anyways, does anyone who's currently watching, do any of you have any, comments, ideas, suggestions about the piece? Feel free to, you can either, pipe up right now, or you can type them in the weekend fun chat if you have anything to say about this, even just a good job. I think it's really cool,
Personally, I don't have any like ideas for this, but I really love how it sounds. It really feels like a mysterious like scene where you're in like a forest in a movie, or like in a video game where there's like a cutscene and you're in the forest area. It really feels like something like that.
Yeah, that's
Totally agree.
my thoughts exactly on it. Just I mean, they named the piece "Forest in the Clouds," so I think they did a really good job of evoking that kind of an atmosphere. So glad that you enjoyed it as well. Do we want to go ahead and move on to the next one? I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen so it's not.
Sure, we can go ahead and move along.
Yeah. So the next one is from Shadmium, who I. Okay, you're in chat. So yeah, they submitted 3 things we're going to take a look at, not in sequence here because there's another one that comes after this. But the first one, if I can get the MuseScore thing open up here, is Dana's going to get really mad when I can't pronounce this guy's name. Starts with a D. Dvorak, I don't know.
Dvorak. There's like a little
I was a wind ensemble musician. We didn't play this. All right. So it's fine. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Oh, they left. Okay. Well, maybe they'll come back.
It's all right.
You should be able to see my MuseScore window right here. So this is a short orchestration of the end of the first movement from the cello concerto in A major. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for us now, and then we can offer our thoughts at the end. I love the use of A clarinet. I gotta admit, I'm not super familiar with the source material, so I don't know if they actually called for A clarinet, but putting A clarinet in an A major concerto,
probably
good choice. Good choice, because
that's nice. That's nice.
Half step off on the fundamental pitch of the instrument is super annoying to deal with as a brass player who hates the key of B major. So we'll go ahead. We'll give this a listen. All right, so that's just, again, a short excerpt. I don't want the ads. Go away, ads. So, Dana, I'll let you take the wheel on this because I imagine this is a piece you're much more familiar with than I am. So what are your initial thoughts on this?
I wouldn't go that far. I am, predictably enough, this is not Sorry, I just glitched there. Let me restart that. I am more familiar with I believe the second cello concerto. So this is not one that I am, incredibly familiar with, but I do adore Dvorak. So I think he's wonderful. But otherwise, I think that this is a fantastic arrangement. I am not once again, I'm not incredibly familiar with the original orchestration, but I think that this is great. I think that you did a great job with the texture and everything like that. I would be curious though. I would totally believe it because this is Dvorak, and I know that he does some wild things with the cellos, but I am interested if that's the actual notated concert pitch at the very beginning, if it actually starts on that high A in treble clef or whatever, which I'm sure it probably does because I'm familiar enough with Dvorak to know that he does some wild things. Oh my god. But no, I'm just very intrigued by this, and I think that this is great. The next thing that comes to mind is this is probably a somewhat predictable thing to say, is that I would end it on a one chord. Because it's the way you brilliantly leave us hanging on that last note, and then then it just cuts off. So I would just slap a one chord in there, even if it's not what's in the original. Sometimes you have to make some modifications with arrangements. And my next thing, and this is, you can take this or leave this, absolutely, but and I'll do my best to word this as well. I might not do a fantastic job, so pardon me if I don't. But something that we talked about a lot last time in the composing and arranging class on the previous playground episode is that an arrangement can really be like a microcosm of a piece, right? And so oftentimes it is easy to make an arrangement like a direct transcription or whatever. And sometimes that's, exactly what we set out to write. We set out to write a transcription and we do that. That might have been your original goal for this piece, which, if so, that is fantastic. This is more just some advice for if you wanted to push that even further, right? So coming from that perspective of ways to push this and to make this piece even more fantastic, there are a lot of things that you can do. One of those things is you can, for example, you could maybe take some motifs from different parts of the piece that are not in this transcription. You could take, I don't know, I'm not incredibly familiar with this one. You could take motifs from the start, from the end, from wherever, and you can kind of hide them into the texture to sort of give us even more of a almost condensed version of this piece, if you will. And some other things that you could do are to make this one bit of this arrangement and this one bit of the piece even more interesting is you can kind of branch out from the original textures and everything and make this even more of a standalone work, if you will. And what I mean by that is you can give this piece even more of a story, right? Because every piece, generally, most pieces have a story with them, or they take you on a journey or something like that. And that's what I kind of mean with this piece. So ways that you could do that are, like we were talking about with the last piece, with that driving texture that kind of comes in the middle of that piece. You could do the same for this one. You could kind of start, maybe give it more of a driving texture in the middle that builds and builds to a climax at the end, or something like that. Whatever, you are the one with creative control. There are many different ways that you can do that and that you can add even more to this piece to make it even more fantastic and to support that main line even more. But I think that's kind of what comes to mind, would be to push this arrangement even further and to make this even more of a fantastic standalone work. That's sort of what comes to mind for me. And I'm happy to clarify any of that if need be. I know that was kind of a lot of ideas condensed into one thing. JC, do you have anything to add? Anything to say about this?
Yeah, so just a couple of quick thoughts. So, again, I'm not super familiar with the original piece. I don't know if it was originally orchestrated for full orchestra or not. I know over here in the uploading notes you say you're aware there's no brass and you're probably going to update soon, so I don't know if that's something you're looking to add. But as far as just the texture of arranging for this kind of a piece with this kind of a mood, I think you did a good job selecting which instruments to include, especially the four woodwinds represented up here: flute, oboe, a clarinet, and bassoon. The woodwind texture complements string playing so well, and it's a really great choice to have. Again, you have, well, this isn't really low clarinet per se, but like lower mid-range clarinet. You're not to the I can't remember what, if Juan was in here, he would know what I'm saying. But there's different registers of clarinet, and on a B flat clarinet you have this this third line right here, this B flat. If it was B flat clarinet, would be the around the point where it breaks, so to speak, and below that you have a different type of like method to produce the sound from what's above that. And if you write in different ranges of specifically that instrument, you're going to get a different type of tone quality, a different type of feel to the sound. So I like one that you chose, the clarinet that has the fundamental pitch of the actual key of the piece of music, which is good. And you have also written lower in the range of the instrument to where you're going to get that more gentle, warm sound versus maybe the ringing harshness some people might associate with certain styles of clarinet playing. So that was a good choice there. And then, of course, bassoon's bassoon. It's really hard to go wrong with bassoon. It's just, it's a really cool, unique sounding instrument. If this were going to be uploaded, for example, I don't know if this is what you were wanting to put this on Play or not, and maybe you did, and I just can't read. But if you were going to put this up on the Play platform, I would maybe have you consider fleshing out a couple of the parts a little bit more so that there's not so many consecutive measures of rest, since the goal is for people to, actually play and contribute to stuff. But as far
That's how
as,
you can kind
yes.
of beef up your texture and everything too, kind of like I was talking about earlier as well. Those are the places where you really have the opportunity to give this piece some more character and stuff like that. Anyways, my apologies for interrupting, JC. Please go on.
Any input is valuable. So we've got again right here, oboe. I don't know in an orchestral context if you'd ever really find split oboe parts. For the purposes of arranging and transcription and what you're looking to do here, it's completely fine. Whatever you want to do is what you should be doing, because this is a creative process. But just to keep in mind, if you were going to expand this into a more, I guess, traditional orchestration, then maybe I would put some of these oboe notes in the flute. If that's going to be something that's in range, probably would have to go up a little bit for some of it, maybe up an octave, maybe not like some of these things down here, but just be cognizant of the different what am I looking for? Different strengths and weaknesses of each instrument if you're going to flesh things out to try and maintain the original feel that you've captured here, which I think is very good. Obviously, it's hard with digital instrument playback, is not always going to capture the nuance and the actual sound of playing.
In fact, it frequently won't.
Right. Especially MuseScore has come a very long way in the past decade, but it's still far from perfect. As far as the string writing, I'm not a string player. I've never played strings. That's Dana's lane. But I did want to see if I can find a spot where I can actually pull up, where I can record this. The first little bit here, where you have these descending triplets going across instruments. I love writing like that.
Again, it feels good.
Yeah. I don't know if this is how the original piece is. I'm sorry, I'm a brass player and I played an instrument that was not included in hardly any orchestral links. So I don't have that knowledge and lived experience. But you have the descending triplets going from violin 1 to violin 2 to viola, and that is something
lovely.
that it's very, very hard for an ensemble to pull off unless everyone is actually really, really in tune with each other. Not just physically instruments playing the same pitch, but mentally and emotionally connected. And if you pull that off, this works so well. And it's a great texture change between different violinists, and then you change down to the viola as well. It's going to be a really, really great effect. And if this ever gets played, please send us a copy, because I like listening to people's stuff that they make, and I think this would be a lot of fun to hear played live.
And additionally, as well, if this is, again, I don't remember if you had indicated this specifically, you'll have to let me know or correct me if I'm wrong. But if this is one that you're interested in putting up on the Play platform, obviously, we are more than happy to support you in that, as that is, such a big part of our work here. So these are some more general criticisms, but then if you wanted to put this up actually on Play, we would be able to give some more specific criticisms for that as well. Some quick things that come to mind would be just the A clarinet. It's not guaranteed that people will have an A clarinet.
It's almost impossible that anyone will have an A clarinet unless they are a clarinet major who owns 4 clarinets. Juan might have an A clarinet. I don't know.
So that's something that I would mention is that annoyingly enough, that's a part that we probably would not be able to fulfill. And of course, to keep in mind that that cello part, obviously, is clearly incredibly virtuosic. And so it's nice to have somewhat accessible stuff on the platform. Perfectly fine if we want to put some some more advanced stuff. I mean, Lord knows, I just put up a pretty intense arrangement of the Grieg Quartet. To be fair, there's not really a way you can make that one less intense. That's kind of the whole thing. But anyway, to keep in mind would be that that cello solo line might be a bit virtuosic for this specifically, just because that is such an incredibly high level concerto. It's not to say that it couldn't be done, but that we might need to rework some stuff. So that's something that we'd be happy to work on more in the future. But anyway, I think that we are probably ready to open this up. There we go. Probably ready to open this up for any more comments, any more critiques, and of course, Shadnium, if there's anything that you want to say about the piece. I know that we've been kind of, we've had a lot of questions about it. So if there's anything you want to say, as usual, feel free to pipe up now or put it in the chat. Anybody who has something to say about it, again, even just a good job is great. But
I really enjoyed like the way the flutes were in this. I can't talk. I really love the way the flutes were in the composition. It really gave it a good feel to it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out, actually. I hadn't paid a lot of attention to that. You're right. That is a great line.
5, 6, and 7, this triplet arpeggiation. I don't know if now the recording can see it because I clicked over to that tab. But I love especially the contrary motion to the not the solo cello part, but the section cello part right here in measure 5.
That is good.
You have the ascending line in the section cello, and you have the descending arpeggiation above it in the flute. It's just that's good writing. I love that stuff.
That is fantastically done.
Okay, so for this composition, I actually just sent this here on Play so you could critique it if I could do anything better to it more than just putting it on the platform like Play.
Perfect. Okay. That's good to hear, because this would certainly be just because of the nature of the solo cello part. This would be it would be an
ask for this to be accessible.
Yeah,
for everybody.
Definitely.
No, but yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the very rare occasions where I'm like, okay, this one isn't necessarily intended for play. One of the very rare occasions. But, fantastic work. I think that that's kind of what we have to say about it, but it's wonderful. Any more? JC, I know I kind of cut you off. Did you have anything more to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that this is really good work, especially I know in the notes over here you said you did this by ear. Transcribing by ear is such a fantastic way to get better as an arranger. I love it. That's how I started.
That's how I do mine. Yeah, that's how I do it.
I'm not great at it, but I like to think I have at least some competency on it, and this is great. You did a really good job. So, looking forward to see the rest of the stuff you submitted later on.
Means a lot.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, wonderful work.
So I'm going to go ahead and stop streaming. Well, not stop streaming, stop recording the thing. We're going to move on to the next one, which is from our friend Ian, our pal, the bass master himself. Could not be here today, but he, I need to click on my face so that it records that. The submission that he put in was a really good arrangement of, come on, Finale, open the right file, of Song of Storms from The Legend of Zelda. So I'm going to go ahead and cast this again, and you guys can join in on my Finale window here. And this is for string quintet. We're going to go ahead and play it. It's not super long. It's about a minute, and then we'll give our thoughts on it. Yeah, so I really, really
Beautiful.
like this arrangement. Great job. I know, Ian, I know you're not here if you're watching on YouTube. Good job. This is a fantastic arrangement. Since it's strings, I will probably defer to Dana for most of this, but I did want to point out a couple things I really liked. First off, the use of texture in the beginning with just
Yes.
the viola and the cello and the contrabass just going the little I can't
It's
I
so
can't rhythm
good.
today, but it's so good. And then the violin comes in with the melody that everybody knows and loves. And then when you go back to the A theme right here in measure 31, you've got the violin 2 comes in, and the violin 1's still doing that kind of arpeggiated melody here, but you've put the violin 2 in the space between, and I love it so much. It reminds me of brass writing for drum corps and marching band, which is where I make most of my money doing arranging things. But you have specifically, or you have the violin 2 on this A right here, and then you have the violin 1 going from the D to the F to the D above, and the violin 2, the note just sustains right in the middle of that. I love it so much. And it's the entire rest of you can't see where I'm pointing with my fingers, I'm insane, but the next measure it does the same thing on a different key center. And then I love the use of different parts of the chord without clashing, without voice crossing, except where you have to, because sometimes it's unavoidable.
Yeah,
Really,
sometimes you gotta,
really
and that's
great
okay.
grasp on part writing. Fantastic job. I'll give Dana a chance to give her thoughts, and then I've got a couple other things constructive wise at the end, but I did want to hear what she had to say.
Yeah, no, actually, I would love to just hear that again. Do you mind taking
Sure.
it back to like 4 bars before, like measure 27, I believe it was? Because I'd love to hear that one more time.
Yeah, let me just tell this to play back from
Just,
the
I
measure.
ADHD'd out the first time.
So you want measure 27, you said, right?
Yes, that would be great, thank
Okay,
you.
cool.
All right, beautiful. I just had to hear that one more time. I think it's fantastic, and that is very similar to a lot of the ways that I tend to compose and arrange things as well. I really like to do that texturally, where you have the first statement of the melody and whatever, and then when it comes back the second time, I love to add in a counter melody in just the same way that you did. So that's like exactly the same way that I personally would have written it. I think that it's fantastic. Actually, I have a thought. That would be a little ambitious, I think. No, I think I have an idea, actually, for how you could add to this even more. Again, because that's kind of the way that I'm approaching all of these compositions, is I'm thinking of how we make this, even more fantastic and even more of I know that I kind of keep saying this, but even more of a like condensed version of the original piece. I have a kind of wild idea that really might not work, so please bear with me. But what I almost do, another trick that I love, is I love to add in a high harmony towards the end. So this is how I would do it, is I would give I would give the violin 2 line to the viola. I would give the violin 1 line to the violin 2, and I would put in a high harmony in the violin 1 line. That might not work. It might mess up the texture, which I fully understand, because you probably need that, whatever that is,
I might
third.
be able to,
Yeah,
to
you probably
wiggle it around and see if that would sound good real quick. If you're
I know
interested in
that might
humoring
mess
me.
up the continuity and everything, so that might not work. But that's what I'm like. I think that is a way that you could push this to be even more fantastic. But I don't know. Part writing is so it's difficult, right? There's only so many directions that you can kind of take it. In certain situations, possibly like this one. So it might not work, and he might have already made like the perfect balance between it all. But no, otherwise that is about all that I have to add. Otherwise, I think this is fantastic. I think that this is perfect to put on play if that is something that you would like to do. I think people in chat here were saying that they really want to see this put on play, and I would agree with them. So it's the reason that it works so well too is it's the perfect length. It's just under a minute, and you do a really great job with it's a really simple form, so there's nothing terribly complex. It's just a nice ABA, I believe. And it just works really well. So if you're interested in putting this on play, we would love to have it. If you're not interested on putting this on play, you have to now because it's good. But anyway, JC, I'll let you go ahead and add anything else that you might have to say.
Yeah, so literally the only thing that I have to say is maybe the violin 2 player is going to get a little bored having 30 measures of rest at the beginning of this. But, I mean, we can put it on with the how it is, or we can add something. I personally, if I were arranging, I would have given them something else here in the first little bit. Whether, even if it's
you
just
can make a nice little
doubling,
lead-in.
right? Because you have the contrabass, you have
or
contrabass
double.
on D, and then you have cello on F,
Oh,
and then you
that's
have,
where that
you have
line
viola
came
on
from.
A. So you have the whole triad here. But I would maybe think about doubling the
double that bass line in violin 2. That's where I pulled that melody from. Jeez, I was like, I don't remember where that came from.
I would double the pitch on down here on this D down below. I don't want to move the position of the rest. What are you doing, Finale? But then I would just go into here because you have the cello goes into, boy, I'm gonna have to re-record all of this to dub over later. But the cello has this E, and then the G. I would just move that back up. And then I hate alto clef so much. I can't sight read it very well. So forgive me if this is not making any sense.
I figured out how to sight read alto clef. I could correct. I know how to fluently read it now.
Well, good for you. That makes one of us.
Thank you.
All right. I'm just going to take a little bit more time. I know we need to move on soon, but I do want to hear what this sounds like when we go back into the probably just leave them on the E here and then go back.
It's nice because this is also such a simple. This is such a simple piece, right? That we are able to kind of play around with it more so than Dvorak Cello Concerto. Like that one is. There's a lot going on there.
So let's go ahead and play the beginning of this again here with this changed to add the violin 2 part, kind of doubling the contrabass, but on the same rhythm as the higher strings.
That's gonna. Nope.
I don't know if I'm sold on those notes specifically, but I do think it's important.
I like it. I like that third jump. I like it. Sorry, I had a moment before because I was reading the cello line in alto clef. So I was like, wait, hang on, something's not right here. And then I was just losing it over here a little bit. Don't worry about it.
Friends don't let.
Yeah,
friends
no,
don't get
I like
instruments in
that.
alto clef.
I would maintain. Can you copy and paste that through that entire first theme?
Yeah.
Just that same violin 2 line that you gave it? Because I like that. I'm into that. Yeah.
All right. And then
no, I think it's just the same.
It should be.
I'm not sure. There might be a.
There is a different harmonization
work.
right here in between 17 to 23. It looks like just looking at the bass
Oh,
line.
okay.
Yeah, it changes. I'd have to
I think it'll still work.
No,
though.
it goes up to the B flat.
So that's a B. Yeah.
We got
that's
B flat,
a D.
you got F, you got A.
Oh, then it will work in the next measure though.
Right.
Because then there's an F in the cello. Nope. Bass. Yeah.
Yeah. So this would have to be note adjusted down here in the violin 2 part. So
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
We're getting we're getting carried away.
Yeah, we do need to move on, but yeah, great arrangement.
We like
here.
arranging.
Yes, this is what I spend my free time doing.
Yes, this is.
No,
we're
it's
just
fun.
nerds, okay?
Why else would we be on a Discord call on a Friday night looking at string arrangements? No.
Anyway, I think that you've gotten what we have to say. I think that we made it clear. Anyone else, if anyone in chat would like to add anything, again, I think that even just a good job is, affirming and nice. But yeah, no, if anyone else have any other thoughts, opinions? I know that earlier you were all saying that you really wanted to see this on play while JC was talking, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, any other thoughts other than that? Now the council has spoken. All right.
What is this Survivor where they have the torch that they have to put out? I gotta. The tribe has spoken. or whatever. God, that show came on when I was like 9. I think they're still doing it.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, they totally are.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and move on. Shadmium did have two more submissions here, short ones. We've got the third movement of the same concerto we already looked at, and then the ending from the second movement of the same concerto we already looked at. So both of these
All right.
The second one is minute 17, and the last one's 24 seconds. We're going to go ahead and...
I think that, well, we should maybe ask first as well, because I know that you're here right now. Are these, same question as before, are these ones that you want to put onto play, or are they just ones that you did and you want some feedback on? Either answer is fine.
I just want some feedback on these compositions.
All right, sweet, you got it.
All right.
Yeah, let's pop it up whenever you're
go ahead and share
ready,
my
JC.
screen. I think that's a play. Let me share my screen. That was like something Sylvain put up, I don't know, like 4 months ago.
Oh, I remember that. You're right.
Yeah,
that was funny.
Every Zoom call ever, or every Skype call.
Yeah,
ever,
that was hilarious. I remember that now.
All right, let's go ahead and listen to this.
All right. That was wild. That was great.
That's a fun piece, and again,
that is wild.
I'm not super familiar with the source material, but I like what you've done with the orchestration here. Just to point out a couple of quick things. As a horn player who does not like playing low horn, God, where is this? Okay, measure 33.
33.
Measure 33 right here. You are completely in the right to write that as a horn part, and that is actual classical music horn parts will use that range of horn. You are not wrong. You've done the correct thing. As a horn player, I don't like it, but it's correct. I'm a high horn player. I'm not a low horn player because horn is like, I don't know, like 4-octave range. It's like, who invented this piece of garbage? But it's a very, very good use of horn, especially with the context of the woodwinds. You've created kind of like a woodwind quintet almost with the flute, oboe, clarinet, bassoon, and horn, which is pretty much the actual instrumentation of a woodwind quintet. But it works so well. You did a good job here. I do have a question about trill on timpani, which I'm not a percussionist, so I don't know if this is really even possible. But I don't know if you meant to put a roll there, or if that was supposed to be a trill. I think you'd have to use 2 different drums and do like a hand-to-hand rhythm breakdown type thing. I don't know if anyone who's watching this has ever been in like a competitive drum line, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I don't know mechanically how a trill and the timpani would work for this. Other than that, I don't have anything else to say that it would be like hey, maybe do something different. I think this is really good. You've obviously put a lot of work into doing the homework, I guess, so to speak, on proper writing for different instruments when transcribing. Let's see, where there was one thing I saw. Okay, this double sharp in the bassoon part down here in measure 21. I would probably just have that be the correct note notated in the correct spot versus just having F double sharp. I mean, I don't know if that's just something you copy pasted and did that, or you decided to manually add that, or if the original piece has F double sharp, then okay, fine. It
is more than like, especially there's a double sharp in the group, the whatchamacallit cello part. The only thing that came to mind was continuo cello, and that's certainly not the right term.
Right.
And the section cello part, there we go. Yeah, there's a bunch, so I think that that's probably just the chord. I don't know on first glance, but
if we break it down and look at it, you have the double sharp in the basses, you have the double sharp in the section cello on the C sharp, which you would have to write that as a C double sharp because the key of the key that we're playing in here has the C is already sharp, but F is already sharp. But I would probably, if I were playing this, I would prefer to have that as just a G natural instead of a G sharp. But I don't know, idiomatically.
Maybe it's probably needed for the chord.
Right.
It's annoying, but probably is necessary. Again, I don't know on very first glance.
Right. Other than that, I've got nothing else to offer outside of a really good job on transcription. It's hard, especially if you're going completely by ear and you don't have any reference to go off of. It's very hard. So you've done a good job here.
Yeah, this is wild. Yeah, again, great job. I do pretty much all of my compositions, transcriptions, arrangements by ear as well. Because I don't know, I just find it easier in a lot of ways. So yeah, fantastic job, especially on something that is as complex as this. That is really wonderful. This is wild. This is a wild concerto. Oh my god. So, I think that a lot of the things that I said from earlier, I would also apply to this, just especially because it's the same piece and you're doing the transcription kind of in the same way as you were doing the previous one, and I assume the next one as well. The only thing that I would add, and this is, as we keep saying, I'm unfamiliar with the source material, so I don't know, but in kind of a bite-sized transcription like this, for me, with all of the ties and everything like that, the time signature and rhythm was quite unclear for me at the beginning. So I imagine that in the original piece, that is exactly how it's supposed to be, but when you are starting with that here, it sort of feels a little bit unsteady. So I would maybe provide somewhere like a driving eighth note part, or even like a dotted quarter part or something like that. Just something to ground us a little bit and give us that sense of, where we are, where the beats are and everything, which again, I'm sure is like exactly how it's supposed to be in the original, but when you're starting it in a place like this, I think that would be helpful. But you can take or leave that advice. That's just my personal thoughts. But yeah, no, otherwise I think this is fantastic. Should we go ahead and move on to the last part of this concerto, JC?
Yeah, unless Shabnam has something they want to say.
Right,
about,
sorry.
anything like this.
I was so into the music.
Okay, no problem. So for the part where it says trill, I just wanted to go over that.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to write trill because whenever I put a tremolo there, it sounded way different than what I actually wanted it to sound like. So that's why I put a trill.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
That's just when you do MIDI playback, especially of percussion, tremolo is going to sound obnoxious, like someone's beating on the door with, I don't know, like a power drill hooked up to a cat of nine tails. Just it's like, it's not going to sound like that in real life, because an actual percussionist is going to be able to roll correctly with the correct grip on the mallets, and it's going to sound beautiful because that's what they do. The computer, all the computer knows is rage. It's just going to go, it's just going to hammer it, and it's just going to be weird. So I'm glad you cleared that up. I did think that was weird, but creative license is a thing. So if you want to write a trill in the timpani, be my guest. I don't have to be the one to play it, so it's not really going to be my problem. No, but
I get it.
That up.
I had a weird thing with MIDI playback for my Grieg quartet arrangement that I just did. I put in a gliss, but the genius of MIDI decided to, instead of making it but or whatever, those weren't exactly the real notes. It was or something like that. It just sounded atrocious in the texture. So
it's rough sometimes. And this is why actual musicians will always be in demand, because a computer can never do it perfectly. But
Amen.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and pull up this
Move
last
on to
one
that
here.
last one.
Yeah. All right. So I'll cast this again. So this should be the ending from the second movement. If you can see that on the screen, we'll go ahead and give this a play. A play.
Yes.
All right.
Oh boy. Nice.
Play the music you love without limits with MuseScore Pro Plus. No, thank you.
Ooh.
I actually
Yeah,
I have it on my other
um,
account. I just didn't log in. It's fine.
I bought it once by accident and it charged me $60.
Whoa.
I did not even mean to buy it.
It's
so that was
not
great.
even $60, so I don't know how that.
It was an annual membership.
No, that's what I have, and I don't know. Maybe they charge Canadians more.
I don't know, something Canadian dollars, Canadian dollars.
That's discrimination, honestly.
Absolutely, 100%. But anyway,
so yeah.
Sorry, you can tell that we're starting to get a little.
It's been a long week. Thank you for bearing with us here.
But, yes. No, I think this is great. I would give similar advice to the last one, because this is, again, I'm certain this is exactly how it's supposed to be, and I'm sure that you're being very faithful to the source material. But because it is so like amorphous and I would give just a little bit more of a sense of rhythm. This one is more grounded in rhythm than the previous one for sure, with that timpani and with those like with the violin parts and stuff like that. But then all of those triplets and sextuplets and whatever, that's what kind of throws it off. So that's how I would again, just for the sake of this one excerpt, I would ground it in rhythm a little bit more. In, whatever way comes to mind for you. That's what I would have to say about it. JC, any other thoughts?
Yeah, I guess I kind of want to counter what you just said with the add a pulse, because this is quarter note equals 55. So, I mean, it's going to be slow, and there is a little bit of rhythmic enhancement here, because what am I saying?
I like it. Rhythmic enhancement.
You have the bassoons, you have the cellos, and you have the
hilarious.
contrabasses have this dotted 8/16 to kind of divide up. But since it is so slow, not having the pulse is going to be difficult for people to keep time. Again, professional orchestra, it's going to be perfect because that's what those people do. Computer, it's going to be perfect because computers only know perfection.
That's
and
what
rage.
yeah.
regular
To a
human
fault.
beings playing stuff might appreciate a pulse, or at the very least a lot of rehearsal with a Dr. Beat in the background. But as far as me and Dr. Beat don't get along.
We go way back.
Good use of horns. I don't see trumpet having any notes here, so I don't know if you just didn't put anything in here or if they just don't play. But yeah, I don't have anything else to add as far as critique goes. Good job, good exercise with the I guess we'd call it I don't know. My school called it dictation, and they called it oral training or whatever. But it's really helpful to do stuff like this to develop your ear, especially as an arranger and a composer.
Yeah,
and
incredibly
also
so.
acquaint you with different styles in case you want to start writing stuff of your own. So it's always good to do stuff like this.
Yeah, no, I think this is great. Yeah, if you have anything else to add, or if anybody else has anything to add about anything, go for it. Otherwise, we're gonna, move towards wrapping it up for today.
Okay, so just one thing, the dynamics are actually all over the place, as you can see. It goes from forte to mezzo piano on bassoons, and it's just MIDI playback. Like, I would assume this would be much more easier to play with an orchestra.
Right.
If I were to tell them go to fortissimo, go to forte, and they would make it sound a bit clearer than how MIDI would actually play it.
Right.
So,
regrettably.
Yeah, that's just the limitation of the computers that only know Rage is there's no volume variation. MuseScore is really bad about dynamics. I think Finale and the VST I use is a little better.
Awful.
But
no, I was just wrestling with the exact same thing. I know I keep referencing it, but that's just because it's the most recent work that I did was and because it was very intense. But no, with that Grieg quartet, it is something that is just so special about it is that Grieg is so incredibly explicit in what he wants with accents, dynamics, etc. La la la. So I had to be faithful to that because it would not be the same if I wasn't. And so yeah, no, just hearing the MIDI playback with all of these dynamics, and it would only do like maybe 2 of the diminuendos that I put in. Otherwise, it would just be like completely terraced dynamics and whatever. So that was wild. Anyway, no, that is a total tangent, but I'm kind of just saying that I feel ya. I completely understand because I just had to contend with this for so many hours. But yeah, no, I think that is about it for today. That is all of our submissions for this one. We're going to have another one of these events somewhat soon because I know that this one is everyone is always really excited when we host this event. So we'll do another one at some point in a month or 2, but yeah, thank you so much to everybody who submitted. All of this stuff was fantastic, and it was so much fun to go through and to listen to. It's such a privilege for us to be able to hear this stuff and to, I think it's just wonderful. I think that it's one of the more fun things that we get the privilege to do through this server. So thank you to people who submitted today, and thank you to people who are watching either now or later on YouTube. We really appreciate you hanging out with us. And if you want to submit things in the future, either for this masterclass or for the Play platform, join us on our Discord here. I'm sure that we'll have the link in the bio. But yeah, again, we do these masterclasses semi-regularly, but you could submit stuff for the Play platform at any time. We welcome and greatly appreciate having submissions sent to us. But yeah, thank you so much. We really appreciate you hanging out, and have a great day.
See you later. Bye-bye.